of Kings, Lord of Lords, you are holy, 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 holy.
Hey everybody, it's Roxy and Kyler and Eli, and we are here to share a story that we thought resonated and reflected what Tim would be talking about today in our Aspire series, Holy and Holy. And today Tim spoke about builders. So the story that we have chosen today is kind of a complicated story, and it's a story that I struggle with a lot, even in making this video, just in all honesty. In telling the story, it's hard, but it's in our Bible, and it's a story that really reflects somebody listening to God in their dreams and their vision and building something. And so today we're just going to kind of struggle through these, through the story. We're going to listen to it. We're going to wrestle with it. And if you have questions, then I invite you to call me, text me. We can talk about it because it sometimes is hard. But it's also really good to tell the hard stories and to ask questions and wonder. And that's what we do as part of our Godly Play kids gatherings is we listen, we learn, and then we ask questions because that's what builds us spiritually. And that's where we go on our journey with God, is by asking questions and being in conversation, and sometimes being uncomfortable. So with that, we're going to build up our faith by talking about a story about building. That kind of is hard. So let's get to it, huh? A long time ago, after creation, so God created the sun and moon and stars and all of the green growing things and all of the world. God created humans in God's image and called them very good. And then Adam and Eve then had their children, and then those children had children, and those children had children. And pretty soon the whole world, all of creation, was filled up with humans. But these humans started making some really bad choices. And God was really sad. Yeah, kind of evil, bad choices. And God was like, man, why is my creation choosing bad? That resonates with me. Like, why do people choose bad decisions? Right? Yeah. And God said in this story, God said, I'm so sad, and I'm going to flood the earth, and all of creation will be gone, be wiped new. And God wanted to ask this one person to help to save creation in a certain particular way. So a hard part for me is God wanting to get rid of all of creation. I struggle with that, and that kind of makes me sad. I wonder if that makes you sad. But a hopeful part is that God saw Noah, who was a good doer. And God came really close to Noah, and Noah came really close to God, and Noah listened to what God had to say, which was not what other people were doing around him. Other people were saying, we're not going to listen to God, and we're going to do what we want to do. And that's that. And so God came to Noah and walked with Noah. And God said, Noah, I'm going to flood the world, and I want you to build a boat. This is the other part of the story that I think is really interesting. This is a famous story, so I'm going to interrupt it to talk out loud and process with you. But how interesting would it be for Noah to be told to build this gigantic ark or boat, and it's not even raining outside. And so people are passing by, and Noah's just like building, right? And they're like, hey, Noah, neighbor Noah, what are you building? He's like, God told me to build an ark because it's going to rain a lot, and there's going to be a flood. And everyone's like, no, that's so silly. It's so sunny outside. So bright. I wonder how Noah felt. If Noah was like, oh man, all of my neighbors think I'm a little cuckoo crazy because I'm building this giant ark. But what did Noah do?
Kept building it.
Kept building. Yep. In this story, Noah listened to God and not other people. Not bad guys, not people that thought that he was silly. Noah listened to God and continued to build this ark. And pretty soon, he built this gigantic ark. But it wasn't even raining. It was just dry land, this giant boat. And Noah had to just listen to God and wait for God's plan and what was to come. And pretty soon, things started to come. In this story, 2 of every animal, a female and a male, come. So we have our camels. Eli, you want to walk up our camels onto the boat? We have some big elephants. Boom, 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 boom. We have animals with sharp teeth.
Alligators.
Alligators. We have our teeniest, tiniest, furriest creatures, like little bunny rabbits. They hopped on board. Then we had our super slippery, slimy, scaly reptile creatures that slithered their way onto the boat.
They slimy.
They're slimy. And then Noah's family came. So Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and their wives.
Walk, 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 walk.
Walk, 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 walk. Don't forget our elephants, Eli. Our elephants need to climb aboard as well.
Walk, walk, walk.
And everyone got into the boat. And everyone soon had to get into the under part of the boat because it finally started to rain. I know, it started to rain. They closed the gates. They put the roof on, and it started to rain. And rain. And pretty soon it was still raining and raining. And the waters started to lift the boat up. And for a long time, that's right, higher and higher.
And higher and higher.
And the boat just was sailing. I wonder how you would feel if you were on a boat.
Happy.
Happy. Why would you feel happy, Kyler?
Because it's fun.
Because it's fun to be on a boat. What about you, Eli?
I won't.
You won't? Do you think you might get a little seasick? Whoa. If you were on a boat for that long with all those stinky animals?
No, I will have this animals on my boat and I will be safe.
And then you would be safe with all of these animals?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe
No
God
whale.
spoke to the snakes and said, don't eat those bunny rabbits. Those alligators. Maybe Noah
No way.
had an intervention with all of them.
Right?
Nope. And then what Noah did, in this story, Noah, after a very long time, sent out a dove. And the dove flew around and around, looking for dry land. But this poor little dove didn't find any dry land and came back to Noah's hand on the boat. They kept on floating. They were on this boat. And pretty soon, Noah sent out the dove again in hopes of finding dry land. And so that dove flew around. And then Noah was waiting, and this dove came back to his hand and brought an olive branch that meant that there was a green growing thing somewhere close by. That there was dry land. That is where I see hope in the story. Where Noah was maybe a little scared and nervous that, oh man, are we going to be on this boat forever? And Noah just had to trust again in this waiting period, in this waiting time. And then the dove came and provided hope that there is dry land really close by. So remember, this boat is just going along on the water, and pretty soon, once they found that dry land, boom, on top of a mountain, landed this boat. And the gates opened, and they put out their ramp, and slowly but surely, Noah led all of the animals back down the ramp. And they, one by one, two by two, every animal came off of the boat to take this camel and these snakes. We can't forget our bunny rabbits and our alligators.
My snakes and
Alligators. Come on, little bunnies. Don't stay on that boat. There's green grass out here. Go chew. Slide down the ramp.
alligator. Choked.
Oh, and Noah's wife and family, don't forget them. They probably were very excited to not be in a boat anymore. Then, do you know what happened next in the story? Once they were back on dry land, all of these animals in this story were able to have more of those creatures. So 2 bunnies makes lots of bunnies. We know that. Lots of bunnies. Alligators were able to procreate and have more alligators so that all of those animals didn't die out. But they were able to sustain life and creation. Pull this back so you can see our table a little bit. Our alligators and our elephants and our people. So Noah's family was able to have more babies and more people, and pretty soon all of creation was rebuilt, and God in this story sent and cast a big bow in the sky. This is called a rainbow. And the rainbow was the way in the story of God's promise to always care for and love creation and to never flood the world again. Now I wonder, is this story, I wonder so many things about this story. I wonder what your favorite part of the story is.
My favorite part when everyone was in the boat.
It was when everyone was in the boat?
And then the pouring down rain come down.
When the pouring down rain came down? I wonder if you have any questions about this story.
I have a question about this one.
Oh yeah, the part that I forgot of this story. A rainbow. We have this prism as part of our story, and when it was sunnier outside, you were able to see the sun cast the light beams through the prism, and it danced, all of those rainbows danced around the room. But right now the sun is hiding behind the clouds, so you can't see it in our room, but it's a prism which reflects light inside and bounces it all around and then casts a rainbow, what we see as a rainbow, all around. We have those in our classes. Remember when we have little prisms on the ends of those window art?
People.
And it casts all of the rainbows. So that's part of our story that reminds us of God's promise and God's love for us, for all of creation. I, to be honest, questioned if this story in the Bible was true. And I don't have the answer for that. I don't think a lot of people have the answer for that. Like, why would God want to get rid of all of creation if God built this? Build creation. I kind of wonder that, right? And I struggle with that. And I think it's okay to struggle. And I think it's okay to question. And what is interesting to me about this story is when you look at other religions and other cultures and other stories and kind of like even in history and literature, other people's books that people have written and stories that they've passed on in other cultures all across the world. There are so many stories that are similar to this one in other religions and cultures that are not the same as ours. People have accounts and stories of a huge flood and their god or gods flooding all of the earth, and one person, so not necessarily Noah and other people's stories, but one person building a large boat or an ark, animals coming on, landing it on a mountain. There are so many similar stories. So it kind of leads me to wonder, what happened? Or what were people in our history trying to recount and to tell a story of, or to try to make sense of? Because at the time they didn't have science, and maybe someone made up a story that said, hey, maybe this is what happened. I don't know. But I think that asking questions and sometimes hard stories make us ask more questions, but in a way, asking questions and breaking it down actually allows us to build our faith back up. Ooh, can we see our rainbow now that we have the sun? No. Kyler, will you open that curtain? I was hoping that the sunlight would allow us to cast some rainbows in our room, but it is not showing. Oh well. You get the idea. Anyways, I wonder if asking questions actually allows us to better understand and build our faith back up. And I think that that's a really cool lesson for today. And I just invite you to ask questions about the world, about what's going on, right? Being in conversation with people allows us to build relationships and to build our faith and to build a better world, right? Yeah, building. It's interesting. It's not just, hey, go grab some wood and go build something, but we can build ourselves spiritually up and emotionally up and build our relationships, right? We can do things building in other ways. I would love for your creative response today to build something amazing, build a dream, build a world of some sort. Maybe that's with Legos, maybe that's with magnetiles. We love magnetiles. What other things could you build with? Maybe wood. Blocks, yeah. Any kind of building toy or thing that you can build with, and build something that you have dreamt about or envisioned or you think would make this world a better place. And now take that idea or that feeling in your heart or idea in your mind and build it with something to be able to allow it to come to life a little bit more. We have enjoyed this time with you today, and we look forward to seeing and hearing what your creative responses are. We'll see y'all later.